With Hazbin Hotel's second season ending just about half a year ago, we've had plenty of time to reflect on the season. But despite its flaws, I genuinely adore Hazbin Hotel. Even though for a long time I've hated it, I've grown to accept this series for what it is. And besides for one character who didn't really hit the mark this season, the show is still extremely good. And if we're talking about the best written character this season, it's Vox. We all know him. We all love him. Hell, I'd even go as far to say as he was a better character than Charlie herself this season. That's why I think Vox is the best example of how to write a villain. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, and hype this video. This video took a while to make, but it was really fun to do. And without further ado, let's get into it. Before we get into his character, we have to go back in time. Vox was a weatherman back in Earth by the name of Vincent Witzman. Vincent wasn't your regular old weatherman, however. He was hungry for power. As we see in Brighter, one of Vox's many songs this season, Vincent would murder his competitors on his rise to the top. It first started out small, but then it grew larger and larger. He grew this god complex, especially whenever the news started calling him the god of entertainment, which eventually led to him becoming a cult leader, to which a TV fell on his head during one of the meetings, ending him and the rest of his cult. The importance of this will come in later, but it shows how Vox could easily manipulate others into doing his bidding. When Vox entered Hell, he didn't start small. He immediately knew what he had to do, like Alistair. Vox knew he couldn't rebuild his empire alone, given by his code he had in his human life, so he eventually formed the V's. The V's included soon-to-be overlords like Velvet and Valentino. But truth be told, he never really cared about his co-workers. He just plainly used them for power. Fast forward to season 1, and Vox was really nothing more than a side character, getting his ass handed to him by Alistair every chance he got. He was flashy, sure, but nothing serious. Just a guy with a TV for a head and big dreams that were never achievable. However, this would all change in season 2. In episode 1 of season 2, Vox explained how the V's would take over heaven together. On the surface, this seems like a silly plan. Vox lost his first fight in the whole show to Alistair, like previously mentioned. If he couldn't beat the radio demon, there was no way he could beat heaven, even with Velvet and Valentino's help. But because of Vox's past, it becomes apparent how Vox plans to overthrow heaven. He plans to get all of Hell on his side to help him, which is exactly what we see in episode 3. In episode 3, we start to see Vox influence Hell. Vox persuades the public that the Hazbin Hotel is a horrible place that has been lying about the redemption of people, and that he is trying to reveal the truth. And what doesn't help is that whenever Vox goes to the Hazbin Hotel to interview Charlie, she doesn't have any proof that Sir Pentious got redeemed, because obviously, he's in heaven now. She can't show any proof. And when they tried to redeem Angel Dust to show proof, they couldn't do it because they tried to use Sir Pentious' sin on Angel Dust. Angel Dust killed his father. He didn't do what Sir Pentious did, so obviously it didn't work. Vox makes a documentary later by the name of Hazbin Hotel Behind Closed Doors because he wants people to see Charlie as a villain when it clearly is him. Certainly does remind me of a certain orange man. This will become more evident in episode 5, but Vox's goal is to spread this quote-unquote truth because this is the key to his plan. If Vox never made himself to be this quote-unquote truth giver, the citizens of Hell would be too scared to rally against heaven and stick with the hotel, which was opposite of what he wanted. This makes him a perfect villain. A villain should not realize what they are doing is wrong. A villain should not have any alternative motives besides for themselves, and that is exactly what Vox does. He does not care for anybody else but himself. Remember in It Has Been Guaranteed Trust Us, where he literally said, "Trust me, just me," and then whenever he realized he had to include his friends, he said, "Trust us." A villain can be evil and still be likable as a character. That's just good writing. Vox is a likable character, but he is still a villain. You don't excuse what he has done, but you like the good writing. Vox has to be the best character Vivzy Pop has written, because despite for her controversial writing, she is a good writer, and Vox is a clear example of that. In episode 4, Vox captures Alistair, despite it being Alistair who gave himself up so Vox wouldn't lay his hands on Charlie. Vox really toys with him as he reprises several songs from earlier episodes and even season 1. This shows the selfishness in Vox because the reason for their feud was because Alistair denied Vox's friendship shortly after Vox entered Hell. Vox needs validation and to think he is more powerful than Alistair, so he will do anything to put Alistair in his place despite being able to kill him. He doesn't want to kill him, he wants to make Alistair jealous and wish that he had teamed up with Vox. And Loki, Vox has a crush on Alistair. This will come back to bite him later. In episode 5, Vox decides to start a rally against Heaven. What's important to note is that he wants to do this all himself, without the help of anyone. What doesn't help is that whenever Lucifer sees what Vox has been doing to the hotel, and therefore his daughter, and goes to confront him at Vox Populi, Vox decides to spin it into his favor.
Meanwhile, this king thinks all of us peasants should be satisfied with an endless existence of suffering.
Wait,
Tell me,
hold on.
hell, are you satisfied? Your wife knew it was wrong, Lou. Maybe that's why she's not around anymore. Here it comes! Smite me! Silence me! That's all you angels know how to do!
Vox shows how cold-like he has become in this episode. He's able to spin anyone's words into his liking, especially whenever the angels decide to come down from heaven to apologize for the extermination, and Emily, the moralist character in the show, truthfully apologizes for the extermination because she never wanted it. He is able to spin this apology into them admitting that the extermination was bad, and he called the exterminations a way to silence the sinners speaking out, making the sinners even more mad at heaven and therefore giving them more reason to take over heaven. What's fascinating is that we don't even know how he's planning on overpowering heaven, but yet all of hell is already on his side. And then comes the biggest twist of the season, as Angel Dust was unknowingly a spy for Vox all this while. Angel Dust is a member at the hotel. We did get a very tiny hint of this in season 1 when Penchas hypnotized Angel Dust briefly, but we had no clue that this was happening. Everything Angel does or says goes into the plan of Vox, all unknowingly. This clearly indicates level of control and manipulation that goes into Vox's mind. He is not dependent on power and showmanship alone, but on his manipulation and cleverness, making him one of the greatest villains in fiction. Just before the finale, Alistair plants a thought into Vox's head that he needs the approval of Charlie to make proper credit for himself. This will be important later, because by the end, Vox stands on the precipice of absolute success, only one step away from claiming his own heaven. Then, Valentino loses it. This whole season, Vox has been treating him more like a toy than an actual person, and he got sick and tired of it. Especially considering that the might of Lilith, Vox's weapon of choice, has enough power to annihilate half of the pentagram, taking everyone with it. Valentino stops him before he can do that, decapitating Vox in one fell swoop. I personally did not like this ending. It felt really rushed and destroyed the perfect villain Vox was. However, even though the writing isn't perfect, the foreshadowing in the season is brilliant. At the end of the day, Vox is exactly what a villain should be. He has no redeeming qualities, yet you find yourself hooked to him every step of the way. But yeah, my name is Esther. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!